Hello, I'm Steph from iDriver Classic and we are here at the Classic Motor Show November 2025 at the NEC in Birmingham, West Midlands, England. Now, it's really exciting this year because I'm in Hall 5. I've got my own stand, which I have been so nervous about, so please, if you are coming, do visit me. We've got Nancy here, pride and joy, absolute nightmare getting here because guess what? We had a minor breakdown, but I spoke to you about that on the reel. We've got all the merch here. Some of it's hidden under the tablecloth, some of it's on the rail. And we've got the Austin A35, which we've been working out at ADO Restoration. But it's not all about me. It's all about the other stuff. And this is the stuff I won't get to see much of this weekend. So we have 10 minutes until this hall closes. So let's go and have a look and see what we can find. Launching straight into it, let's talk about the size of the NEC Classic Car Show, because if you've never been before, it is enormous. It's spread across several halls, and one of the top tips that I always give to people is make sure you find where Hall 8 is. You have to walk through one of the halls and it's just at the back, but it's one that I remember in my first year I never found, so I always say to people, make sure you find it because you've got some incredible cars in there. And in fact, Hall 8 today is where we find my car and owner's story of the show. So I can't wait. It's going to be later on in the video. However, we start off strong with the Renaults. Now, it's probably a secret to some, but I absolutely love an old Renault, and in particular Renault Dauphine. So having this across from me has been an absolute pleasure. Now, one of the things that you'll notice if you haven't been to the Classic Motor Show in a number of years is that, well, things are starting to look a little bit more modern, because I remember the first year that I came, it was very much, you know, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, and it was stuff from the 80s that was considered the modern stuff, the stuff that really was the cut-off point. But nowadays, you're starting to see some of that newer stuff, that 90s, that early 2000s stuff, being brought into the halls, which is quite good really. Now, one of my favourite stands to go and visit is 2CVGB, and as you can see, great selection of 2CVs, but I had to show you this car. Look, it used to belong to a clown, and if you've ever watched the film Dead Man's Shoes, this is also in it, and if you've never watched that film, you really should. So it was done by the same guy that did what was it called? This is England, which is one of his more famous films, Shane Meadows. But it is quite a gruesome film, so if you are maybe watching a film with children, it's definitely not the choice for you. So I'll show you what else we've got. Well, you'll notice there's covers over a few things in the videos, and the reason for this is because every time I went out and filmed, because I've been running my stall throughout the show, and a massive thank you to everybody who has helped run my stall, it's meant that everything you've seen me do filming wise has been before or slightly after the show. And by the way, this was custom built by the current owner, so you won't be able to find another one. Again, always try and include the metros, because once absolutely everywhere in Great Britain, they're now so hard to spot. Now, I had to include the, goodness, you know, when you're so tired and you're editing thinking, oh, what are they called? Women's Drivers Social Club. Now, I love the Women's Drivers Social Club, and a lot of people are saying, oh, well, where's the Men's Drivers Social Club? But the thing is, as a woman, sometimes it is really daunting to walk into a club full of men and to say, oh, hello, I'm new and I'm arriving on my own. And the Women's Drivers Social Club, I described it, I was talking about it on stage yesterday, and I said it's almost like a seed that grows, and from there you see women go into all sorts of different clubs, and it helps build that confidence, I think, to introduce them into other areas, to bounce ideas off each other. So yeah, whilst it's a really great space for young ladies and women and older ladies to all grow together, it's also fab because it means that it gives them that confidence to jump elsewhere. Now, we've looked at a lot of modern cars already, I think, and I think that it's impossible to go around this show and not see some of the pre-war and the vintage cars as well. And you know, we talk a lot, and I've talked a lot recently about how it concerns me that ULEZ is going to wipe out a lot of the more modern classics, but I will always have a lot of love for this pre-war and vintage stuff as well, and I think it's important. Now, you see me hover over that number plate, BF.
Now, I wanted to tell you something. I saw it online the other day and I tried to Google it and I saw it on a couple of different sources, but I haven't seen it printed in a book. So is it hearsay? I don't know. I mean, it's a long time ago. But allegedly in 1930, the DVLA, or whatever their equivalent was in 1930, removed that BF from the number plate system because it was slang at the time for a throwaway term, bloody foul, and therefore it was considered coarse to carry on using it on cars. Now, if anybody knows if that's true or not, I would actually like to know, but I read it in a few different sources and I thought, oh, I will mention that it is, even if it's just common hearsay in a car, I thought I'd tell you it anyway. Now, I had to include these Morris Isises. Would it be Isises? Isi? Because these are a car that I absolutely adore. And they are so rare, and I would absolutely love to drive one. So if you have a Morris Isis and you're watching this video, especially if you own one of these splendid examples, please do get in contact with me because I would absolutely love to drive one. Now as well, I want to include the post office vehicles. I was chatting to these chaps and I said I would absolutely love to come and have a chat with you. Maybe we try and put them on the channel. So we're pulling together a plan for next year. So if you love post office vehicles, we hopefully will be in for a treat next year. Now I, at this point, got locked in a lot of the older vehicles, and of course we are filming on Remembrance Weekend, and this is a really important fact to mention, is that something I think that we do so fabulously during this show is we do recognise Remembrance Sunday, and we have the 2-minute silence at 11 AM, and you see a lot of clubs putting up poppies and remembering. It's such an important thing. I don't know if it's recognised worldwide, so if you're watching this somewhere that's not the UK, I'd love to know, do you do Remembrance Day? I know that, is it Australia and New Zealand have Anzac Day, but I would love to know if you have that as well. Now I saw this Riley from 1898, and there's all these people out there that say, oh, you know, you won't keep cars from the 50s going. Why not? This has kept going from 1898. And again, I don't know if you've just recently seen the London to Brighton rally, but all the cars that are out, there's still so much love for these cars. And I think if there's still so much love for them now, there'll be loads of love for the 40s, 50s and 60s stuff. So people that love to spread all that doom and gloom and say that people just won't be interested, I think, no, what a load of rubbish. There'll still be all that interest as long as we keep shows like this going. And one of the, I think, one of the most encouraging things from this show this year, and it's great to be editing this on Saturday night, Sunday morning, and giving you a bit of insight into the actual show as it's happened, because usually I try and get the video out before the show starts, is that I've seen so many young people. I've spoken to so many people that are just about to start their driving journey or that are just buying their first classic car, and they are interested in stuff like this. It's not all just the modern stuff. So I think for all these people that sit at home panicking and saying, oh, there's no interest anymore, there's no one to take these cars on, I have met so many young people that have come and asked me about the A35, about the Morris Minor. Oh, what do I need to do to keep that on the road? Is it easy to buy one? And I'm like, yes, please go and buy one. So honestly, please don't be worried if you are driving something old. We are very lucky that there are lots of young people coming up that are very interested to take our cars on. All we have to do is we just need to show them how to fix them and how to run them. And by the way, this is very much my second vehicle of the show, because look at this. Now, I always come and visit the Morris commercial stand, not just because I love a Morris, but because keeping a commercial classic on the road is so very challenging. Because if you think about it, all they were designed to do was to be used, abused, and got rid of at the end, because they were never designed to be treasured and kept on the road. And so I love stuff like this, because you look at all the wood, you look at the interiors, you look at the flooring. Someone's probably had to do that and spend so much money. So bravo to clubs like the Morris Commercial Club, because it's people like you that keep stuff like this on the road, and we get to enjoy it just as much as you do when we see it at shows. Now it's on to some of my favourite stuff, Roots Group cars. Look, you probably know from all my reviews and the way that I wax lyrical about them, I love a Roots car. And you know what? It's been really great to see such a heavy presence of Roots vehicles here, including the Humber Club, and it was really great to see Josh's Super Snipe. You might remember it, it's a really early doors video on the channel. We did that, gosh, 2020? A long, long time ago. But anyway, I know that a lot of you watching this are going to say, Steph, there's so many cars. And here's the thing, right? In this video, you are not going to see absolutely everything that's on show because I haven't seen it all. I haven't managed to get round, and I ended up spending more than my 10 minutes on my first night because I thought, I started doing it, I got 10 minutes in and I just thought, I'm not going to do this show justice, because one of the things that people always pop back and say to me is that they're like, look, Steph, it's really expensive to go to this show, and is it worth it? And what I would say to you is I think it is, okay, because there are so many cars here that you can choose your own adventure. If there's something you don't like, you can skip over it. If there's something that you do like, you can definitely go and find more of it somewhere else in the show. And whatever you're into, there is going to be something here for you, whether you're into your JDM stuff, whether you're into your modified, whether you're a pre-war person, or if something that really gets you is going out there and seeing stuff that you've never seen before, this is the show to do it at. And putting on a show costs a lot of money. Even if you've got people that volunteer a little bit of time here and there, it's everything that's involved in putting on a show. I mean, putting on Rusterville isn't cheap, and it's not half the size of this. So putting on something like this is a tall order. So I guess at this point I should probably say as well, thank you to Andrea, the Poppy Seed Media team that do all the hard work, the Clarion team that do everything. These are the people that do all the secret work that we don't see. And of course, thank you to the car clubs as well, because I'll tell you what, bringing 2 cars here had me in tears. I don't know how clubs put on such incredible displays and put all the decorations out and bring all this rare stuff here. I don't know how they do it all and keep their cool, because for me, I have been absolutely exhausted. I'm still exhausted now. I need a holiday after this. It has been wild. But anyway, I need to show you the paint on this. Look at this. Have you ever seen a glittery Reliant? I hadn't until I saw this one and I thought, oh, yes. But anyway, when I was filming this and on the first night, I thought, right, 10 minutes, even 20, 30, 40 minutes isn't going to give me enough time to get round and show you all everything. And I must have spent a good 2 hours before the shows on the Friday and on the Saturday trying to gather content to show you all. And it still wasn't enough. So in this video, I've just tried to pull together almost, a good selection of various bits and pieces. And I hope that I'm giving you a bit of a flavour for what's here. But it's not just the big stuff, because this is one of my favourite sections of the show, and it's where they put all the micro cars together. And I love this because, listen, there's that meme, isn't there, that says, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs. I'm going to tell you now, if you ever see me in a micro car, I have won the lottery, because it would probably be the first thing that I would do before I paid off my mortgage or anything. I would go and buy something. Now, I love this Henkel, and it had been resprayed and it was pink, and I thought it was just a bit of fun, because you can't take life too seriously in a micro car. And again, keeping stuff like this on the road is not always easy. So it's fantastic to see them here and to see, I mean, look at this little toy one. What a wonderful thing to see at the show. And a lot of people as well this year, and something that I would like to mention, is that they've left their windows down. I remember the first year I came, there were a lot of barriers up. There aren't as many barriers nowadays. People allow visitors, and trust as well, visitors to come up, look inside the cars, look inside the windows, get a real feel for the cars. And I think as well that visitors have responded well. People are a lot more respectful than I think they used to be, in that, you're not seeing people drag their bags along, drag their trolleys along. And I love that. There's that mutual two-way respect building and growing each year now. And I just love to see it. Now, I just want to say that that little modern electric thing, love that. I keep seeing them at shows. Is it Microlino? I really want to drive one. Because I think if I'm ever going to own a micro car, it's probably going to be something like that. Now, a quick mention as well for the Bug Club. Again, love them. And then I spotted the Crestas and I thought, I've got to come and show you these. And look, when you come and see these cars in real life yourself, you see little details like that floating voxel emblem. And I think that that's something that perhaps doesn't always come across in the videos, is that if you're wandering around this show by yourself, you're able to walk around, get a feel for these vehicles. And if there's something that you love, when it's my videos, you know, I can't hear you from the other side of the screen saying, Steph, can we have a quick look at that? But if you're coming yourselves, you get that time, you get that luxury to pause by the vehicles and just take a closer look at those details you love. Now, of course, I was going to include all the Cavaliers and all the Chevettes and things because, again, trying to find parts for that sort of stuff is no walk in the park. So I loved seeing all of this. I do enjoy a good old Vauxhall, and all the owners clubs that you meet when you walk around, they're also very friendly. And I think that if you want to try and buy something like this, please do first and foremost go and speak to the owners clubs. It's what I always recommend, especially with a car where parts aren't as easy to get, because by going away and chatting to owners clubs, they're going to tip you off when something becomes available. Maybe somebody's given up driving and they'll get you in there. Top marks to this person here who had a van that was being used all the time. Absolutely loved that. Now again, a quick walk around the Vivas. Now we've got massive selection out this year. Now we've been working on one of these at work and it's not the easiest thing to get parts for, would be an absolute understatement. And so when I see stuff like this out, I have such an appreciation for both the cars and the owners, because they must be doing absolute legwork to keep stuff like this not only on the road but also in such incredible condition. Now this pop top was brilliant. Now I'm just going to show you the back, so let's just walk through, because I couldn't work out how they were getting in this. I guess it must be open the front doors and get in, because look, as we come to the back, look, I'm not crawling through there, I'm too old for that. So if this is yours, please let me know, how are you getting in and how are you using all this space? It was a great thing to see. Now, continuing our walk round, I wanted to talk about mobility, because one of the big things that people contact me about is they say, Steph, I'm in a wheelchair, or I've got a pushchair, or they're a little bit worried about coming to a show where perhaps they're not going to be able to get around because their walking isn't very good, or they're, you know, reliant on a mobility aid. And I always say to people, this show is perfect for you because the aisles are wide, you can get round and you can see everything and you don't have to worry. There are disabled toilets frequently scattered throughout, and in my opinion, this is a very friendly show for it, because everything is on each hall is on one level, and whilst there are stairs that get you from hall to hall, if you are reliant on a wheelchair, you will be able to get round, and there are ramps up to things, and the only thing that you're not going to be able to do is to be able to get under the cars or get through the middle of two cars. But the way that the stands are laid out is they're quite shallow, so you'll be able to see everything without having to feel like you're missing out. So that's one of the things that I think the show does really, really well. And in terms of children as well, children are really well catered for. So as you walk around, you'll find that there's lots of places you can stop off, and in the outside area, outside of the halls, there's plenty of places to sit down. Within the halls themselves, there's little, I would say, like cafeteria style breakout areas where you can sit down with the child, and you know, they're not going to get funny if you want to just sit your kids down for 10 minutes, just have a quick rest and a quick breather and get back to it. And there's also an area as as well with kids' activities, because I've had some young people helping me, and there was a bit of a treasure hunt. So you had to go out and you had to find cars from certain manufacturers, and if you brought it back, you got some sweets. And I thought that was really good because it encourages children in the same way that I Spy books used to go out there and use their eyes and get off all these tablets, stop looking at them. Now this is Hall 8, and I really enjoyed Hall 8 because a lot of this is all the Fords. Now on paper, I'm not technically a Ford person. However, my best friend Joe, who features in many of our videos, or well, certainly behind the camera anyway, he's quite often the cameraman, loves a Ford. And I remember my first real journey into Fords was his Ford Anglia. So every time I see an Anglia, I get very excited. And this selection of Anglias did not disappoint because you've got the convertible, you've got the pickup, and you've got that one loaded up with all the suitcases, which is very reminiscent of how we've spent a lot of time in his. But interestingly this year as well, there are also quite a lot of minis in Hall 8, and I did like this selection of Fast Lad minis. Now, as many of you will know, I do like cars in their original format. However, I have a lot of respect for people that take these cars and go an extra mile, almost push the cars to the absolute maximum of what they can achieve and do it in a really clever way, engineering wise. And I looked at those and thought, yeah, you've absolutely nailed it. Now I was looking at this Taunus and I was talking to the gentleman that was running the stand, and he said you won't see another one of these outside of South Africa. And this is one of the great things about the show, I think, is that as you walk around you'll see vehicles that there's only one of, or that someone's shipped in from somewhere far flung. Such a privilege to see these vehicles, and again, window down, so we can get our head in and we can have a look at things. And again, when you come to these shows, you can often talk to people and say, could I have a look inside? So whilst the door may not be open, if you have a chat with someone, they'll often let you have a look in. And I've let a few people sit in my car as well during the weekend because they said, oh, I'm looking for a Morris Minor and can I fit in? Will I like it? What will I think? And I was like, yeah, of course you can. But anyway, Hall 8 also yielded me something else, and that was my favourite car of the show. And I often decide my favourite car of the show not only on what the car is, but the story behind it. So I'm going to introduce you to Dave now with my favourite car of 2025. One of the best bits about coming to the NEC, in my opinion, is hearing other people's stories. Now, when I walk around, I always try and pick a favourite car of the show, and this car immediately jumped out at me, and I was looking around it, I thought, blimey, that looks really original. And you know, when you look at a car, and I talk about this quite a lot, and you think, that looks like a low owner model. Anyway, I bumped into Dave, and it's Dave's car. And I said, Dave, how long have you owned this? And there's no one better to tell this story than the man himself. So Dave, take it away.
Thank you very much. Hi, my father bought this car in 1971. He was looking for a Cortina Mach 1 GT, done the research, that was a car he wanted, and a good friend of his owned a garage, and he said, I've got just a car for you. So my father purchased it. He used the car extensively for his, as people did in those days, travelling to work, etc., all over the country. After about 5 years, my mother became the owner of the car then. She had it for about 5 years. I was 7 years old when my father purchased the car. So when I became 17, the car was given to me. I'd always liked the car from the age of 7. I remember my dad picking it up, collecting it, all the holidays, the travelling, going to school, all that type of stuff. And I would help my dad service it, wash it, and I've just kept it ever since. Despite my dad saying early on, you know, get a Mark 1 Escort or a this or a Capri or a whatever, I test drove loads of them, and for me, nothing touches this car at all. So we've kept it, we've restored it. My wife and I, and our 3 children now, we've travelled the country, holidays, car shows, absolutely everywhere. And touch wood, up to now, he's never ever let us down. And he is a he. Don't know why. It's not a she, he's definitely a he car for some reason. And he's affectionately known as Fortin, which is just the Ford translated to English, but he truly is a special car to us. How was that?
No, Dave, that is lovely. But now I've got a bone to pick with you, because this generosity has not extended down through the generations. Because your poor son, he's had to go and buy his own Ford. Tell us how you got him hooked.
Right, and we were saying about, my wife and the 3 children, always into car shows straight away. The 3 children absolutely adore the car as well, and have had the same experiences as what I have growing up. My son, obviously they all want the car at some point, but it's not going anywhere. So my son eventually gave up pestering me to try and have this one, and he's bought his own car. So he bought one about 4 years ago. It's quite a low mileage car, 76,000 I think from new. I think Fortin has done nearly 190 up to now. But Scott's well and truly into his car, as is our other younger son. But the insurance, I believe, for them is quite hard to get until they're over 25. So James is waiting to be 25. And our daughter, who's 32, Helen, she can drive this one, or Scott's, I'm sure, if he's in a good mood. But no, the 3 of them absolutely love driving the cars as well. So it's a really good family affair, to be honest with you. So maybe we'll get another Cortina so that everybody's got one. And it's just great for it to be here. It is his 60th birthday on Sunday, because he was registered on the 9th of November 65. And I believe Hey You Got Off of My Cloud was the #1 song in the charts at the time. So we'll be blasting that on Sunday.
Now, as we walk around, we've seen a lot of British stuff, we've seen a lot of European, we've seen a lot of modified. But what we haven't seen is a lot of American. So I'm going to flip round now and we're going to remedy some of that. Well, there was a lot more than what I showed. Now, I love these. Now, this is very much not something I would drive, but I love seeing all the NSRA stuff, I love seeing all the American hot rod stuff, and I think that it's very important to have it here, because the work that goes into these vehicles is absolutely astronomical. I mean, look at this. This is so far removed from what it actually was. And I think it's brilliant that people take cars like this and do so much with it. And when you see all the American stuff in the flesh, it's absolutely incredible how much work goes into it. And I love seeing it, all the metal flake, all the sign writing, all the modifications they make to the body. It is art. Now, if somebody said to you, you need to bring a Hot Wheels toy to life, this is probably it. So this is called Kinky Voodoo. It's based on a 1996 FX4 taxi. It's got standard 2.7 litre Nissan diesel engine and running gear, and it was built by a man called Paul Bacon. So it's a fully sculpted, one-off fiberglass body. It's an asymmetric design. They've designed it with the wraparound rear window. It's got air suspension, fully enclosed wheels, remote suicide door, and it must have cost an absolute fortune. And it's got some other nifty bits as well. So it's got remote control continental kit, retractable motorcycle ramp, electric bonnet lift, pop-up headlights, infinity running lights, LED engine bay lights. It's even got a television in it. I mean, where do you even start with something like this? How do you even come up with this idea? Now, for me, this was definitely a front runner for Car of the Show. I thought it was brilliant. And I kept saying to people, you need to go and have a look at that, because it is wonderful. Now, back to something a little bit more traditional, because when I was walking around on my last quick run around, I finally found them, the Jowetts. Now, how could I not include a Jowett when I live in Yorkshire? Now, again, a little bit like the Roots cars, where I always think, oh, I'd really like to own something like that. Every time I see a Jowett, I think, oh, I would love to own one of those. I really love those Jowett Jupiters, the Javelins. They are just so well designed. When you get up close to them, they look perfect in photographs, and then when you come up and see them, you see the build quality, you see the finish on things, even things that haven't been restored. You just think, oh, that is a car that you would love to own. And again, Owners Club, enormously supportive. They do so much to keep people on the road, and a lovely bunch of people. They're coming round again, we've got a bit more modern stuff, and it's not just single mark clubs that are here, because you see clubs from certain areas. There's always the West Midlands Car Club and various clubs from all over the UK where they welcome multiple marques. Now, coming into Hall 1, which is where we are at this point in the video, and you should always go and visit Hall 1 because I always refer to it as the posh hall because you always have the posh cars in there. You get to see a lot of this stuff that really would have been quite a spectacle to see back in the day. I mean, these at this point we're at the Bugatti Club, and these cars are just astonishing. And again, really lovely to see that a car that's worth more than the house that I live in doesn't have a rope around it. And it's brilliant because whilst many of us will never get to own these cars, it's so wonderful to be able to come up and see them up close and get to appreciate the engineering that's gone into them, the manufacturing, the talent level and the skill that was there all these years ago. And again, you'll notice that that early one there had the BF number plate on. I do want to know, does anyone know if that story is just a rumour? But I wanted to show you some of this stuff because whilst I may never drive it on the channel, and I certainly will never own one, isn't it wonderful to come in and see it? Because many of these cars inspired the designers that then went on and made the cars that we drive every day, because it's that trickle down. It's like fashion, it's like architecture. These grand ideas, these grand motors trickle down and give us the things that we use and enjoy on a daily basis. I wanted to show you a few more of the posh cars as well. Now this again is a hall that I never really get into because it's always so far away from me. I'm usually in Hall 5 or maybe Hall 3, and so you don't always get to come in and get out and see this stuff. So if you are coming, the way that I always recommend people do it is start off in one hall and make sure you work your way through. Now, something that I haven't been able to cover off in the video this year are the auction cars, because I wanted to show you stuff like these Railtons and say, look, come and have a look, because this for me is where it is. But if you are somebody who likes to see a lot of variety very quickly, the auction cars is where you should be. And I believe there were over 500 cars in that this year. It was some enormous number. And again, 500 cars is a show in itself. And it really is a show in a show in a show. So if you are coming, get here the moment the doors open and really plan your day tactically. And if you are coming as well and you want to be able to put in a bit of planning into your show, they do put the maps online before the actual show begins, so you can sit down and you can strategize about how you're going to use your time. I mean, I'm horrendously disorganised. I like to just get in there, get stuck in and get walking. But if you're maybe in a wheelchair and you won't be going, you know, great distances in a small amount of time, or you've got children with you and you want to make sure you see all the things you want to see, you can get in. Because seeing stuff like the Gordon Keebles, the Allards, this for me, I took so much pleasure in seeing this, because these are cars that I just haven't seen out on show fields this year, because the shows that I tend to go to, you don't see a lot of this. Although if you want to see a lot of early cars and a lot of rarity, the Hebden Bridge Classic Car Show, which always falls in the first weekend of August, is really good for scratching that itch on a budget. It's marvellous. And of course, they did have a stand, but I didn't get round to go and see it, unfortunately. The British Motor Museum, they have so many wonderful cars under one roof, and it's a really great way to see a lot of this stuff and get a bit of a taster for it. Now, I didn't film the entirety of the Daimler Manchester stand. I wanted to just give you a little bit of it, but blimey, what a great selection of cars in Hall 1 today. Now, thank you for sticking with me through this video. It has been such a whirlwind tour of the NEC. I, of course, haven't managed to grab everything, but I've tried to give you a really good flavour for what's here this year. Now, I didn't know who was running the stand, if it was Ray Herrett himself or it was a coach builder, but blimey, I love this little display against one wall, and I wanted to end the show on a high for you, because there is so much great stuff here, but how do you finish off with some great bits and pieces? But this bus, the commercial commercial, the miniature. This ticked all the boxes for me. I love stuff like this. So much work goes into creating it and keeping it looking nice. Now this stand, let's end on a high. This is the Colt selection, and again I wanted to end with a funny story for you. So we had a Shogun in the family when I was growing up, and the handbrake got left off because somebody had to run indoors, and it rolled down the driveway at some relative speed and took out the garage. The garage was ruined, but you know what wasn't? The Shogun. It survived, and if there's any testament for a Shogun, it's that ridiculous anecdote. Now, of course, the last car we had to end on, Starion. Started on a high, ended on a high. What an incredible show.